The latest film in the DC Extended Universe is also Dwayne Johnson's biggest headlining movie opening weekend of all time. Let's talk about Black Adam. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film Black Adam. It's in theaters right now. Huge opening weekend. Almost $70 million just in the U.S. alone. And breaking records for Dwayne Johnson. Now, this doesn't count the Fast and Furious stuff that he's, part of a big ensemble. But in terms of, his name being the headlining marquee star, this is the tops. It has beaten, both the Jumanji movies. It beat the opening weekend of San Andreas, which was a huge summer movie hit for him, I don't know, about 5 years ago or something. But yeah, so his star just keeps on rising further. And obviously it's not, among the top couple openings for the DC universe, because they've got the Batman movies and Superman and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, pretty impressive nonetheless, I think. And this is a spin-off of Shazam. And of course, Shazam 2 was supposed to be out at Christmas, but they've moved that to March. They've moved all of these movies. This was supposed to come out in the summer, and then they moved it a few months till now. So anyway, before we dive into the specifics of this movie, because this is an interesting one, it's doing very, very well with the audience. 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, huge box office. Critics have it at 40%. So much different. So we'll get into the specifics here in just a second, but I want to welcome you first into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. Tons of great stuff on the channel, including all of the big superhero movies. Yes, I do them all. Marvel, DC, the whole thing. And all spoiler-free. It's important for me on this channel to be spoiler-free when we talk about new movies. But the basic premise of this is this guy, Teth Adam, played, of course, by Dwayne Johnson. He was bestowed the powers of the gods long ago, but he was using these powers for evil and doing some vengeance, so they imprisoned him, and nearly 5,000 years later, he is free and now known as Black Adam. And he is interested in dealing with the Justice Society. So in DC, you've got the Justice League, which are the good people, and now we've got the Justice Society, who are villains. But of course, we also have the Suicide Squad in DC, which is also villains. So I know it's a lot to keep track of, but but here we have playing some of these villains. Pierce Brosnan, he's here as what is his name? Dr. Fate, but his real name is Kent Nelson. But you've also got let's see, Noah Centineo. He's very popular these days, playing Atom Smasher. You've got Aldous Hodge as Hawkman. He is kind of the leader of the Justice Society. So anyway, this movie, boy, oh boy, I definitely fall in line more with the critics on this one than the audience. Sometimes when there's that big a discrepancy, 50 points, I fall somewhere a little bit more in between, but no, I definitely fall more in line with the other critics in this regard. So in terms of the positives, look, Dwayne Johnson, even though I am kind of getting sick of his whole thing, because he's the same, action guy in all of these movies, it's undeniable that he is a charismatic frontman. That's why, he's been so popular all these years. And of course, dating back to the WWE. So look, I get it. But what is different here, other than giving him superpowers? He's still being Dwayne Johnson. He's still being The Rock. He's still doing everything he does when he's a hero of the movie, as opposed to an anti-hero. He's bringing that here with this role. So, is he engaging to watch on the screen? Yeah, I guess. And specifically in some scenes with him and Pierce Brosnan. That's sort of where I think the comedy sort of comes into this movie. And I sort of use the term loosely. This is not a comedic movie in the same vein as like a Thor or something. It's pretty serious, but you're throwing off some lines here or there. It's more akin to maybe like an Iron Man or a Doctor Strange or something, where it's like comedy's not necessarily the name of the game, but there's some comedy here. And speaking of Doctor Strange, by the way, the Brosnan character, Dr. Fate, He has a lot of the same powers as Doctor Strange. It's it's a similar character, but I do want to point out this guy was in the comics first for a while before Doctor Strange was. So, that is one thing, and I researched that because I didn't know. I'm not a huge comic book guy, but I know that these characters have been around for a while. Certainly the Shazam character has been around for a while too. So okay. I had to look that up because the Doctor Strange, Doctor Fate comparisons are pretty obvious, I think, in some parts. So look, everything about this movie is basically fine. The effects are fine. The action sequences are fine. The character development for most of the characters, I would say, is actually less than fine. We don't spend a lot of time with some of the side characters of the Justice Society. And it's a problem that a lot of these big group movies have where we don't know anybody. Like the Eternals had it with Marvel. I thought Justice League had a little bit of that issue as well in the DC universe. Suicide Squad, for some reason, didn't. They actually gave us, now there was like a little thing on the screen that gave us the stats of everybody and stuff as they were being introduced. But you know what? Maybe that was corny to some. I liked it, but it was helpful to know who's who and what their powers are and what they're doing. Some characters in this movie we don't really give the time of day to. And then, as with a lot of these movies, there is a villain problem. The villain is not great. He's not really well drawn out. And we don't really see his powers at work, I didn't think, until towards the end of the movie. So that was a negative too. But more than everything just being fine or maybe a little bit less than fine, there's absolutely nothing original about the way this movie is made. Everything about it is something that we have seen dozens at this point of times before, either in DC or Marvel. And because we're now getting new superhero movies every month or two, I mean, we're a week and a half away from Black Panther coming out. This movie just came out. I know. DC 1 week or 1 month, next month is Marvel. We were supposed to have, like I said, we were supposed to have Shazam in December, which would have been DC again. But anyway, so we're really in the oversaturation portion, I think, of these superhero movies. So if you're going to do something unique and different, which I know I gave Multiverse of Madness, a lot of crap. I have since raised my grade slightly on that one. But at least I will give them that at least they were doing something different. I didn't particularly think it worked all the time, but it was different. This is not any different. The only thing maybe you could say is it has Dwayne Johnson in it. But we've seen this character from Dwayne Johnson also dozens of times. He's got superhero powers in this one, but is it that different from who he's played in Rampage or, a lot of these other movies? I would say no, not really. So overall, this is not a good movie. I can't even really say I enjoyed watching it. It was kind of boring just because we've seen it all so many times before. But that being said, obviously with the 90% audience score, there's still a thirst for this kind of movie, and great, more power to the people that like these movies. But I'm in fatigue mode for sure. You got to give me something a little bit different than this movie did. So I leave Black Adam with a D+. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see everybody next time on Dan Reviews It. Bye.